everyone from Everything Beautiful. Today I want to make a simple straight skirt and I want to take you along. I also want to show you that if your hip is 50 inches, you can use 1 yard of fabric, which is 60 inches wide, to make your skirt. Okay, because the width of the fabric is 60 inches. If your hip is 48 or 50 inches, you can still use 1 yard of fabric to do that. The length I'm working with today of the skirt is 26 inches. The waist is 36 inches and the hip is 48 inches. You will divide the 36 inches into 4 equal parts, and that will be 9 inches because you're working on a quarter of the fabric of the skirt. The hip is 48. You'll divide that by 4, and so the hip measurement is going to be 12 inches. So without further ado, let's get started. And I'll just walk you through the steps because the lines are drawn already. So here is the waistline. From here to the end of the fabric, there is the waistline. Now I've actually measured off the fabric, and you always use the widest part of the body that that garment you're working on. So we're working on the skirt, and we know that the hip is the widest part of the body. So I have measured off the 12 inches with some allowance for the hip measurement because that's the widest part of the body. So here we also have the line for the hip measurement. Now from the waist here to the hip is 7 inches. Now it can be more than that depending on your size hip. You know, if you have a bigger hip, you can use maybe 8 inches or 9 inches. Okay, so from the waist to the hip is 7 inches, and I've drawn that line. I've also drawn a line at the center back here, and this line will accommodate your zipper. So from the waist to 8 inches is where you'll place your zipper. It's an 8 inches zip, and this line will go straight down to the hemline. Now if you notice, I have some allowance here. Okay, and I folded the fabric. We are working on the back and the front at the same time, so folded the fabric, and I'll just open it back out for you to see. All right, so this line is the line that you will stitch at the back. 8 inches will be for the zipper, then you go down a little further, and depending on what you want, if you want to make a split or a pleat, I have decided that I will use 2 inches width here across. You can use 1.5 inches also, but because it's going to be a pleat, I have used 2 inches. Now let's measure for the waist. So from the center back here to here, I've measured 9 inches. 4 nines is 36. I've also added, let me mark it, so here it is. Yes, so from here to here is 9 inches, and this is 1 inch for your dart. Okay, if you don't add your dart measurement, it's going to take it away from the waist measurement. It's going to take 4 inches from the waist measurement because one dart is 1 inch wide. Okay, so we're finished with the waist now. From the waist down is 7 inches. We are going to divide the 48 inches into 4 equal parts, and that is 12 fours 48. So I have 48 inches here for the hip measurement. The next step is to go to the length. So I'm going to measure down to the hemline to where you want your skirt to be stopped, and that is going to be 26 inches. All right, so I've marked that off 26 inches. I don't know if you can see it there. 26 inches. So this is where the 26 inches is. I will now go across, and the same measurement that I use for the hip I will use for the hemline. So I will measure off 12 inches, and here it is, 12 inches. I will now connect the hip measurement, that is here, the waist measurement, I'm sorry. I'll now connect the waist right here to the hip, to the hemline, and that is there, and I'll draw a line. So there you have it with your skirt. All right, simple. To find your dart allowance, what you will do, measure from your bust point to bust point. All right, from your bust point to bust point, whatever measurement you get, you use that for your dart. In this case, I will be using 4.5. I'll be using 9 inches. Okay, the bust point to bust point is 9 inches. I will divide that in two, and I'll place it on the center back. I'll place it on the center back here, right here. I don't know if you can see my hand. So I'll place it right here on the center back. Okay, so I'm starting. So this is what it's going to be, 9 inches. You're going to divide it in two, and that's going to be 4.5. So that's the 4.5. I'm going to measure down 4 inches, and that's the length of the dart. I'm going to come back to the center back here and measure another 4 inches, and that will give me the center line for the skirt. The 1 inch that I'd placed for the dart, I will now add 1/2 inch to both sides of the 1 inch, and that will give me the shape of my dart, and that is what it's going to be looking like. The next step is to add your seam allowance to the side. So I'll add 1 inch to the side straight down to the hemline, and this is your allowance for the side. So you will cut the skirt on this line. So this is the measurement for your hip and waist, that is your skirt, and here is the allowance, and you will cut from here straight down to the hemline. And now a little pep talk. Most people think that they need a lot of fabric to make a skirt. You don't need a lot of fabric. And another thing, in this case, I have doubled the fabric, fold it over, so I'm actually cutting the back and the front together. So when it's folded like this, and you can do that, you can, because our bodies are symmetrical in most cases, and so you can cut the back and the front of the skirt together. So the last thing you will do, another thing, before you move the fabric, you open up the fabric, you're going to place a pin there and a pin here. That is just to help you to remember where the center of the dart is, and then you can mark away 1/2 inch on both sides. So you could put another pin here. When you cut the side of the skirt and you're opening it up, you just dot wherever, so you will remember where the dart is. And the next step, you will add 1/2 inch to the top there for your allowance. So you will cut in this line for your allowance. So thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And that is a simple skirt using 1 yard of fabric. And you might wonder, why do I need to buy